Hey guys, Martin here, recording this one after my trip to Europe. I mentioned going on this trip probably in the last three episodes because I recorded them in sequence. But I just got back a few days ago. We spent, for those of you who don't know, we spent almost 2 weeks traveling to England, then to France, and then to Germany, which was a rollicking adventure. I talked about how worried I was about the trip in the previous We're Still Here's, and yeah, I won't lie, there was some stressful parts, and there were some parts that definitely were, not as fun as they would have been if I'd been in a better condition, or if I didn't let my anxieties control me sometimes. But I actually had a relatively good time. I won't lie. I often like to start these videos off. I say often, but I don't do it more often than I do. But I do like to start these videos off by talking about something that makes me happy. And the trip to Europe did actually end up making me pretty happy. I won't lie. I didn't anticipate it, and I didn't expect it. I don't want to say I didn't want it, but I didn't want to go because of my trepidation and because I felt like my depression would make me ruin it for everybody, everybody I met along the way, and obviously for Mariana, my wife, who would have to take this trip with me. But it didn't do that. I tried my best to stay in positive spirits, and I found it actually strangely easy to be positive in the face of some of the very stressful situations. I guess I'll talk about where we went and what we did for the first half of this one. We went to England initially, first of all to visit my family, but primarily to attend a convention as a guest. Me and Marianne, we went to SunnyCon in Newcastle, and that was for 3 days, and it was a lot of fun. It was nice to see the Team 4 Star guys. It was nice to see a lot of my British friends, including X the Dark One, who, if you've followed We're Still Here, or me, my personality for a long time, you'll know that X the Dark One, Thomas Livesey, is probably my best friend. Just because, I don't know, I get along really well with that guy. He makes me laugh a lot, and he makes me forget. I forget that I feel like crap a lot of the time when I'm around him, and I forget even when even when I probably didn't have depression. Being around him during a shit day, or when I was just not feeling up to it, I felt better, and I felt more up to it, and I felt like I had the energy and the confidence to do things that I usually wouldn't be able to do, and he brings that out of me. And he's also just fun. He's just a good guy, and I love the guy, and it was good to see him again. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see his wife Tracy while she's his fiance. Sorry, I should know that by now. His fiance Tracy, who wasn't able to attend the convention because she was taking care of their child. But I got to talk to her over Skype, and their kid Jacob. But the convention itself was really nice, and we got some panels, and it was just good to see Lani Pator and Takahata 101 from Team 4 Star interacting with the British fans, which they haven't really done before. They've not really actually traveled to England before, and getting to see them do that and see the British fans see Team 4 Star as well was a big deal. After the convention, we went to France. We actually went through the Channel to Paris, and we spent a day there. And I'll be honest, France was kind of crazy. It was obviously football season was on, the World Cup happening and everything, but it was there was a lot of people trying to get where they were going, and a lot of shoving, a lot of hustling, a lot of bustling, and a lot of stern looks from people when I would try and interact with them. I don't know if that's common in France usually, but I felt like I was on. I was being examined every time I was trying to have any kind of just ask for directions to go somewhere. But it was nice to be in France. We actually we didn't realize it, but we went past the bloody Notre Dame Cathedral on the 20th anniversary of the Disney film. I think it's the 20th anniversary. Was it out in 1996? That seems crazy. Does that come out in 1996? I heard it was the 20th anniversary anyway, on the day that we went past Notre Dame, and then we went into Notre Dame the next day. So it was kind of cool because I'm a big fan of the Hunchback movie, and obviously I talked about going to see the musical on stage a couple of times in We're Still Here, and so that was oddly meaningful to just be there in that moment on that particular day. We also went to Disneyland Paris, which the whole time we were preparing for this trip, I would tease Mariana and be like, look, Marianne, Disneyland Paris is probably not going to be very impressive, and it's probably not going to match, Disneyland over here or Disney World over here or any theme parks over here, really, because it's Disneyland Paris. And it's just kind of notorious, at least when I was growing up, it was notorious for being kind of lame and not being good. But we went, and we made the best of it. I didn't think it was that great. I don't know how Mariana feels. I don't want to speak on her behalf, but most of the good rides were shut down, presumably because of weather or because, I don't know, maybe the World Cup. They thought more people would be going to that. But for the period we were there, like Space Mountain was closed, Thunder Mountain was closed. They don't even have bloody Splash Mountain there, which I guess is because a log flume ride seems kind of redundant in a country where it's raining half the time. I don't know why they don't have Splash Mountain. Maybe racism. Maybe that's why. But that's my favorite ride, so I was upset about that. And their Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland Paris is kind of the weakest ride I've ever been on. I have to say, I was not impressed by that Indiana Jones ride. But we went to Disneyland Paris, which is another Disney theme park knocked off the list. I'd like to visit them all eventually. But we also went to Germany following our trip to France, and that was actually really, really nice and serene. And if it weren't for the intense humidity that made it difficult to sleep every night, I loved every moment of that part of the trip. I really liked getting to lie down in a park and just chill out, and I liked getting to just sit and have in a Bavarian restaurant and watch people go by and have a beer. And I liked that we went into a nice comic book shop where they had a bunch of I picked up some new Marvel comics, and we just got to read all the German variations on different series and stuff, and see some of the merchandise. Like even in Germany, they had Asterix merchandise, which obviously I'd seen in France as well, but I just don't see Asterix stuff over here in America much, or even in England as much as I did over in Europe. But I remember growing up with Asterix and loving that character and that world and all those comics, and it was cool just to see action figures, like really detailed statues of those characters and that art style and everything. But Germany was just really pleasant. It was just a really nice experience, and this is going to be my last note about the trip, at least about the Germany part, which was I was watching German television late at night, and apparently I had the children's channel on. I didn't know it was the children's channel because all they were showing was a strange puppet of a loaf of bread who was moaning about things in German, and things were happening around him, and he was just getting very upset about it. And this was going on for the better part of an hour, so I just took a screen cap of it and tweeted, "Does anyone know what the hell I'm watching?" And apparently it was a character called Burnt das Brot, which is obviously a pun on burnt bread. But he apparently is extremely popular and has been going for like years in Germany, and there's kind of a cult following for the character online because there's been translations of his sketches and put on YouTube. And I was so baffled by it and then the creator of the character tweeted at me and explained to me what he was, and I was like, I just had the hotel TV on late at night and I didn't know what was going on, but this has been a nice little story out of that. So that was kind of fun, I really enjoyed being in Germany because of just the landscape and the people, and the food was really good, and the beer was really good. and it was just a nice time. I preferred that to France just because France was kind of hectic with all the football shenanigans, and I preferred it to England in a way. Not, I loved being back in England, but I'd never been to Germany before in my life, so the fact that it was a new experience kind of superseded England for me. But yeah, it was a good trip, and I wanted to start the video off saying that I'd had that experience, and because I'm sure a lot of you may have been concerned about how that was going. But there was a couple of times when my depression took hold, and I had a panic attack a couple of times. Once in a pub, which was embarrassing, but another time just when we were in Germany actually, and it was just I don't know what, I can't remember what triggered it, but I remember just spending a good hour just crying to myself, and while we were walking around and trying to, hold back the feeling of wanting to just run off somewhere and just be left behind. But that was very few and far between. It was twice at the most, I have to say, in the space of 2 weeks, and that's new for me to have such such a small frequency of panic attacks while in a strange place. And I think it was because, first of all, I was with Mariana the whole time, and she made me feel okay, and second of all, I think it was just because I'd gone into it trying to have a positive attitude, and I think it really helped. But I also wanted to talk about Anime Expo, which is still ongoing this weekend as I speak, and it's been a good show for us in the sense that we've met a lot of people, and we've done good business there. We always have a booth set up in the dealers hall, and I only want to talk about this briefly because I don't think it's something that can really be a whole "we're still here" unto itself, because it's just one thing that I wanted to mention, and it's that being back here and being at Anime Expo and being kind of overwhelmed with work and with the people and with just the immediacy of it, and other elements that I don't know if I can talk about because I just don't feel comfortable talking about it right now. I had a really bad breakdown on the way to the show on Friday, and it got pretty bad to the point that I didn't want. I want to say I didn't want to go to the convention, but I didn't. It's not even just limited to that. I just didn't want to be alive anymore, and it was the biggest disappointment for me. It was the biggest letdown because I'd just been able to have this really positive experience, and I feel like I ruined it. I feel like I feel like I was like, well, I faked it long enough, and now I get to go back to reality. But I don't want to feel that way. I want to believe that my panic attack, my breakdown was a one-off, and that happening doesn't take away the fact that I had a good time, I had a good experience, and that will always be with me, and that will always be something I can look back on and remember. But it's just difficult. It's just difficult because, I can't forget about the fact that I came home and immediately went back to being this fragile thing, But I should mention that I don't like to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this, but I can't not talk about this because honestly, I feel like I'd be lying or I'd be holding something back from you guys, and this is supposed to be somewhere where I can talk about stuff, and it's supposed to help to talk about it. I hurt myself on the way to Anime Expo on Friday. I hurt myself a lot, and I spent the whole next 2 days just hoping that it wouldn't happen again. But I could feel it every time someone shook my hand. I could feel it. I could feel my thumb and my finger, and I could feel the ache within it, and I could feel my muscles hurting every time someone touched my hand to shake it. And I felt like that was my punishment. for doing that. Every time I smiled and said hello, I could feel that I was lying, and that I could still feel the pain just as strongly. But again, I still have the positive memories of my trip, and I still got to see people, and I still got to say hi, and I hope that the people who came to me who needed to talk, I hope that it helped, and I hope that I didn't let any of you down. So thank you for listening to me this week. I'm gonna go get some work done and take my mind off this. But thank you for listening, and I hope that while I've been gone, that you've been okay. I'll see you later, okay?